Skeleton Crew episode 3 is out, and the show is pretty slowly paced still, and it's just really being restricted by being so geared toward children. It can't really explore the way that it needs to, and you have to really suspend disbelief to believe a lot of the events in the show because you're dealing with kids on an intergalactic adventure. I said it in my last video, and I'll say it in this one, just because it's for kids doesn't mean it has to be retarded. And that's kind of what this show requires of you. So let's just get into it. So we get one scene where the parents are mad and Wim's dad looks suspicious. I'm guessing there's going to be some slight little arc with the parents figuring out what the truth about their government is over the course of the season. I guess we'll see. So the first scene with the kids is kind of what I'm talking about. Again, we get Fern and KB being the smart ones and Wim and Neil being the idiots of the group. I guess it'll just be all season. Girls rule, boys drool, and all that. And she's very suspicious of Jude Law, whose name we find out is Jod Na Nawood. She's suspicious. KB's suspicious. Women Neil defend him because they're stupid. This is what I was kind of talking about with it being so kid-oriented. And you're trying to do an intergalactic thing instead of something like Stand By Me. So once you bring this space dimension into it and all this technology, you've kind of gotten to a point where you either one, have to believe that little kids can operate this technology better than adults to continue their adventure, or they kind of have to get just pushed around by the plot and dragged around the whole time. In this episode, they actually kind of do both, where they both get dragged around by Jude Law, but then they also contribute in ways that I find questionable. So after they bicker and decide that they need Jude Law's help because they can't fly a spaceship, they get back without the droid, SM-33. They say that they're not leaving without him, and Jude Law goes back inside, gets the droid, has this firefight outside a ship, and then eventually boards and then takes over flying the ship for them. So they're kind of just dead weight this whole time. And this is another aspect where they're limited by being a kid's show, is if it was a little bit more adult, one, they might actually be able to contribute. So you could say that, okay, Jude Law, even though he's a pirate and a scumbag, is using them because they have talents. Or two, you could go dark with it. He could be like, look, kids, we need to go. It's non-negotiable. Move your ass. And then if they resist, plug one of them. Just shoot them and be done with it. And then that way they listen to you out of fear. So they're kind of stuck in this in-between thing where they want to go really kiddie, but you also don't want to have them just do nothing. So instead you watch Jude Law, who at this point we know nothing about other than he was betrayed in a mutiny, is doing everything, and they're just kind of watching. Even during this escape, the kids are doing nothing except kind of bickering about if he's a liar. He makes the escape on his own, off screen mostly, and then tries to fly the ship. They create this really dumb plot thing where they're hooked up to the fuel line, so the ship can't pull away. Can you imagine a fucking fuel line being unable to be untethered by force by a spaceship? I know a gas pump is not quite the same thing, but if you've ever left it in the car and driven away, you might not even fucking notice until you look out your side mirror. So they do this whole thing where this escape really drags out, and he's like circling and trying to get stuff to collide to break the fuel line. And eventually they just hit hyperdrive and it rips out, which seems like it might cause more problems that you're jumping into hyperspace with an open fuel tank, but whatever. Once they get to hyperspace, Jude Law says, I have a friend who's really good with maps and she can help find your home. And it's very obvious that he's kind of a scumbag, but not enough of a scumbag to hurt the kids. I think they're going for like a whole Jack Sparrow thing. And again, this is where I think it hurts to show the kids aren't actually useful. They're probably just more useful as hostages. So he's supposed to be a pirate, but not too piratey. And he tells the kids they'll be there in a few hours, get some rest. And KB refuses to go to sleep because she doesn't trust him. The kids have a little conversation about maybe their world is the weird one. And they talk about how their parents are analysts and they have no clue what they do. Fine, just not much to it. We land on the planet. And again, KB and Fern figure out that he's trying to hide the ship, so they have to walk a bit. And he said that he's worried that his friend, Kim, will betray them. Kim calls him Crimson Jack. I'm assuming that's his pirate name. And then the owl's like, what the hell are you doing with him? And she's trying to find Atten using Old Republic records and star maps and process of elimination, all these sorts of things. So the kids say it's near Alderaan. She kind of laughs. They mention Coruscant and that there's a barrier protecting their world. And she figures out where it is pretty quickly, even though it seems like a myth to everyone else. A bit annoying, a bit convenient, whatever. And she kind of does betray them because she wants to help the kids. She sent out a signal and she's trying to stall. Although if she was really trying to stall, she could have just not found the coordinates so quickly. Kind of dumb for a genius, but whatever. And we find out that she didn't betray them for nefarious reasons, but because she's got some relationship with the Republic and the Jedi. So she fights Jude Law a little bit. He helps escape and he grabs the coordinates and he's like, come on, let's go. And they decide to trust Jude Law even though they're told not to. And the deal that they make is that he works for them now. Doesn't really make any sense. The kids have no authority. He does have a blaster that he could just shoot them all if he wanted to, leave one alive. And if he knows the pirate rules, he could literally just kill Fern. The robot and ship would be his, and the other kids would be so scared they would just do whatever he said. But we can't go that dark with this show. So whatever, they pull a deal out of their ass, and they're off to run away from the X-Wings in their old-ass falling apart ship, crewed by children. So he assigns them to the turrets. He has them help with the hyperdrive and piloting, and the skeleton crew crews the ship for the first time. They do a shittier version of Luke's moment from the original movie, where he hits one of the X-Wings but doesn't blow it up because they're the good guys and he's a kid, and that'd be pretty dark also. Obviously, the fact that they're both in the turrets and hitting the targets anyway is ridiculous. These kids who were raised in a suburban stereotype of a neighborhood, who'd never even been exposed to violence really, and even if they grew up a little bit more rough, first time on a turret again, first time flying a spaceship, and they just nail it all. And they try to justify it with the X-Wing saying it was too dangerous, so they pull back. And to make sure that the kids that they think are retards know who the good guys are, they say they didn't want to risk hurting the kids. Jude Law obviously makes evil faces the whole time. And Kim says, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you where they were going." And that's the episode. You can see these episodes, even though they're about half an hour long, only have like 5 scenes. And there's no problem with only having 5 scenes if you're really doing a lot with them. But they just kind of stretch them out to fill time, it feels like. So yeah, I'm guessing we'll get a little bit more of the mystery of their planet as we go. We'll see Jude Law's arc of eventually betraying them, but then coming back to save the day. I'm still assuming the parents' arc is going to be they actually question the authority of the planet at Aten, and happy endings all around. Not the kind you get from a masseuse, just the happiness of the show being over. I kind of said what I had to say throughout the video. The show is just being really constricted by being for kids. And then by trying to do this sort of Goonies or Stand By Me thing in space, it just kind of takes it into the realm of stupidity as opposed to like a fun adventure. So I think this show will just be kind of a blip by the time it's all said and done. I don't think it'll be nostalgic for the kids it's targeting. I don't think it'll be watchable for the adults that have to put up with it. And it'll just be forgotten. So yeah, if you've seen the show, let me know what you think. I try to respond in the comments on just insults, like and subscribe and all that shit. Thanks. See ya.